While we're recording, it's time for Josh to make some background noise.
I'm surprised you don't have your cup of ice rattling around.
Shh, man, he's going way back. That was a deep cut. Dang, that was early on. That was when I was still in Slovenia. Remember that?
Yeah, freezing in your basement.
Or burning up.
Had
Dude,
your Tim Pool cap on, keep the noggin warm.
Yeah. I've started listening to him again, by the way.
Has he gotten any better?
Yeah. I mean, he's still kind of this. He's still kind of the same, but I have so much time on the road right now, traveling back and forth, commuting 2 hours one way for 3 days a week. You run out of podcasts to listen to. And reach deep in and listen. My truck right now is like my closet, my cafeteria, my transport vehicle. It's pathetic, but
that goes back to what you were asking yesterday. The albums that you've listened to the most, cover to cover, right?
Yeah,
and I don't think we got Josh's. He was asleep. But for us,
it was 6 o'clock in the evening,
maybe 6:15. But I'd listed a bunch of them. Most of them are like 90s grunge band, that type of stuff. And Luke had asked, he's like, well, how many do you think you've listened to? And you were talking about Queensryche, and you're like, you listened to it about 48 times, rough, just ballpark estimate. And I was like, hundreds at least. And you're like, cover to cover. And I said, yeah, because back in the day, I used to commute from Tucson to Fort Huachuca on a daily basis. This was before the iPhone. This was before, streaming music and all that stuff. So, I had books on CD. Well, you can only go through so many of those. So it was just whatever CD I had of whatever, artist that I was, that happened to have in my car at the time. So that's what I listened to every day.
Well, I would say you can't count now that's what I call hits 1992 or whatever.
No, but I listened to, well, no, I didn't have a compilation. I had the Pearl Jam 10 CD. So I throw it in there when I would leave. And
that's discipline. That's discipline, because Scott and I, our listener Scott, we used to say, we're listening to albums on our way to Red River, New Mexico, and the inevitable track you don't like would come on, and it's like, okay, let's fast forward. I'm like, nope. This is self-torture. We have to listen to the whole thing, because there's always, like, on even Alice in Chains albums, there's always one track. It's like, this is garbage, so that's discipline, that you would listen to the whole thing, even the tracks that weren't that good.
Well, no, not really, because I was providing the ones that I had listened to every track, which was probably 5 or 6. It's like the whole Anthropic principle. It's like, wow, I provided the ones that I did listen to. And I do think, like we've talked about music, it's like, I do believe, especially with the 90s, man, early 90s, a lot of that stuff, like when Pearl Jam came out, when Bush came out, and even Nirvana, even though their big hit was, 2 or 3 albums into it, I think Bleach was number 1 and something else, and then Nevermind. But those songs had all been tried, through their local venues. So when they put their albums together, they knew they had 12, 13 solid songs. Whereas nowadays, they could have taken like 10 of those songs and made it into like 5 different albums with a bunch of shitty music in between. You play one hit song, one kind of like, I didn't dig it at first. Now I can kind of listen to it. And then you come up with 8 crappy songs. You throw in a little, Lil Wayne in there somewhere, and a little compilation with, DJ Khaled, and you call it a day, man. And then, make millions of dollars.
What are yours, Josh?
So I did respond back, because I probably was asleep. But when I get up in the mornings, I read through the 100 or so, messages that are waiting on me between you two girls, because y'all text after 11 o'clock at night, like 16-year-old girls. So mine would be probably Appetite for Destruction, Use Your Illusion 2, Margaritaville, George Strait, 50 number ones. Those are probably and CCR, one of their, I think it's their first album, or whichever one has Have You Ever Seen the Rain? I've listened to those straight through. I can't even count how many times.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little low on my Queensryche Operation Live.
It's probably higher than that.
Yeah.
because I've been listening to it since freaking 1993. 93 is when I first heard it, and thanks to Darren, our listener Darren, y'all both know Darren. He and his brother Dave introduced me to Queensryche, and I was like, I'm hooked. And this was before grunge, Well, it wasn't before grunge, but it was right before grunge got huge. Grunge was kind of coming out, but I was still into the old rock, the Motley Crue and Poison, stuff like that. And Queensryche took that 80s rock style and made it serious. Like what they sing about it's kind of crazy, but they're serious when they sing. It's like concept albums, like Pink Floyd, The Wall. It's conceptual. The entire album. It tells a story, every song, and I listened to it. That's why I wrote that out, because the other night I'm waiting for my wife to get home and I'm doing stuff in the kitchen, like packing up and stuff. I listened to the entire album. It's so great, man. And time just passes quick. It's awesome.
I can picture your truck right now. It looks like our tent from the Ultra last year, probably.
Probably smells as good too, huh?
Dude.
Like a family of methed out raccoons lives there.
I will say it doesn't smell bad. But yeah, does Jer still listen?
Well, he listens, but he hadn't listened in over a month because,
He thinks we're ragging on him, but it's like Josh and I mean, of course, after I stepped on Josh's 64-ounce bottle of Gold Bond powder as I was suffering a heat injury, that was the mess we made. But it's like our side, it was a respectable mess, right?
The Gold Bond just all it did was the Gold Bond covered their mess that was already there, right?
Dude, I can smell that right now. Was it the yellow bottle or the blue one?
No, it's the
brother.
green.
It's
one.
the green. It's the
Or the
one
green
that
one.
medicated.
Yeah,
the one that makes you tingle when you put it on.
I think I can actually taste it.
When I stepped on that thing, I was seriously, I was telling Josh, I think the first heat injury I had was when I was 7 years old in Phoenix, when I got up to 119 in the city, or it's 117. And I went outside for a few minutes, played around, and came back inside. I was like, what's happening right now? That was my first heat injury. My next one was in 2024. So last year, I'm coming up and I'm like, I'm going to pass out. Josh comes by, you all right? It's like, you're going to have to sit down with me and talk me through this. But before Josh came up, I just stepped right on that bottle and it went poof everywhere. And I knew in my mind, I should probably try to do something about this, but the body just was not responding. And I was just like, you know what? Everyone's just going to have to live with my screw up, and they did.
That seemed so long ago, and here we are at the end of October. I mean, we got about another week before we hit November, and you guys got another Ultra coming up.
God,
yeah.
Josh is stupid, but I'm way stupider.
Yeah, you do it the first time to say you've done it. The second time you're stupid, and then after that you've just gone full tard.
Well, I think this is a testament to how I will so easily succumb to peer pressure, because if these guys weren't doing it, so it's Josh, Jer, Chris, Jer's two sons, Robert, is who else? Josh, me and Josh. So that's 7.
Yeah.
If they weren't doing it, I guarantee you I would not be. I would not. Absolutely not.
It's going to be a hoot. It's going to be a big time.
But this will be your third, right? Right, Luke?
Yeah. Yeah, if I get through it. Yeah.
So now you do your third. So at what point does it become just, hey man, I've done it 3 times. Like I come back every year because that's what I do.
See,
this time.
Well, I don't know. I've been saying constantly, if it's raining, I'll either start late or I'm not doing it at all. I'm not doing it in the rain. Those guys will, but I'm not. So it's like there's certain conditions, right? I mean, I would rather do it in blizzard conditions than rain, because rain is more miserable than being cold, because you're cold and just
100%.
No, but I don't know. Maybe it'll become one of these things where, this is just what we do over New Year's. Because for those of y'all who don't know, it starts on December 30th and ends on January 1st. It's 55 hours, and you just see how much distance you can cover. And the minimum to get a belt buckle, because it's in Houston, Texas, is 100. and they have 150 and they have 200. And I don't know if anybody's ever done 250, but yeah, I think 2 or 3 people did 200 last year, and I just go for 100. So that's what we're going to do. And like Roger said, I've done it. This will be my 3rd one. This will be Josh's 2nd. And Josh is going, he just put it on the record, Josh. What are you still thinking about 150 or?
I'm committing to 150.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Anything short of 150, I will consider a failure. I will consider a failure.
God.
So Luke's dumb for doing it 3 times. I think I'm really dumb for, be like, yeah, 150. That's my goal. I just, for me, it's, so I did it last year. I didn't know if I was going to make 100. I made 100, and I started looking at it, and, I got to the point where I was like, that 150, based on my time hacks and the time I finished at the 100, which was, a lap behind Luke, I was like, 150, I think is doable.
Like, I think 39 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think I could do it. And, it's like, look at it. It's like, if I'm going to do it again, I know I could do 100. So why am I going to go back out there and just do 100 when I know I could probably do more? It's either, it's like, okay, I'm going to see if I can beat my time from last time, which I know I can, because it got to the point where mentally, once I knew I was good on time, really, once we hit the 50-mile mark, 16 hours in, we hit 50 miles. I was like, good. I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm going to make 100, barring, I don't break a leg or, break an ankle or something like that. I was like, I'm good. And so, but now I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, I have a 100-mile belt buckle. That 150-mile belt buckle is pretty legit. It looks good.
Oh, so they have different belt buckles for each one.
Yeah.
100,
different
150, 200. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, Josh, why I think you could do it. And Roger, I think he can do it. Well, I'll tell you why I think it's possible. How about that? Because the first year I did it, Darren knocked it out in like 38, 39 hours. Way before I did. I slept too much. I let my body stiffen up. And I think I did it the first year I did it about the same time that Jared and his son did it. So about 50 hours, 49, 50 hours. You did it the first time in 39, which is about what Darren did the first time. So I'm like, and it's going to be easier this time. I'm telling you, because the second year I did it was so much easier. It's still hard, but it was easier. And like I was telling you, Josh and I were having a conversation on the phone. You know how when you got a case of the squirts, right? And you're like, ooh, I can feel this is coming on, right? Ooh, I can feel it. I'm going to have to get to a toilet. And your little sphincter has this radar, and it knows when you're getting close to the toilet. It just knows. And so you do the move, right? Like right when you get to the toilet, you do the undo the pants, sit down, and go at the same time. Your little sphincter knows when you're close to the toilet. I think that if you program your mind to be like 100 isn't the goal, it's 150. It's the same thing as a sphincter. Because, dude, I'm programmed to 100, and mile 95 to 100 is very difficult because my brain is just like, you're done at 100. This is as hard as it gets. So right. I think it's possible if Josh sets his mind, it's like, no, it's 150. That's what it is. You'll probably, I'm not going to say you'll be fresh at 100, but be like, well, I'm a third there,
Yeah. We'll see how it goes, man.
I'm going to enjoy watching you suffer.
There's no guarantee that I'll even get to 100. So
you guys are going to get to 100, and Luke's going to be like, peace out. And just go to the tent and grab a beer.
I'm going
to watch you.
Luke won't even stay there.
No,
he'll leave like he did last time.
Yeah, but I'll come back. I'll come back and cheer you on and all that stuff. But you're not going to want to hear cheering on. You're not going to want to hear it. You're going to want to. If you're anything like me, I get inside my head.
Yeah,
because Josh tried to help me out. I guess like at mile 70. 75, and he starts trying to start conversations with like really good questions, like who would win, a Janissary or a Mongol, a Mongol soldier on horseback. And I'm like, I thought about it for like 5 seconds. I'm not having this conversation. because it just get inside your head, and it's like I need to focus on not feeling pain and just keep going.
Yeah. No, that's that's key. After mile 70, I don't want to, like, I'll have my headphones in, and that'll I'll tune everything out, and I'm gonna bear down. And on my headphones, it's just gonna be CT Fletcher and David Goggins calling me a bitch.
Now, is there juice out there? Like, do you have power to be able to recharge shit at night and all that other stuff? Or
No, you got to bring your own.
Yeah, you got to bring all your own stuff. So it's but Luke's got in fact, Darren hooked us up with a big battery charger thing last year. Luke's going to get it from again this year. So Darren, if Luke hasn't already hit you up, he's going to, because we're gonna need that again. And so you just,
can you pull trailers down there and have like a generator and shit going, or is there how much
you can
room
have a
is there?
generator? Yeah, there was a couple tents that had generators.
Well, they asked that you don't do gas generators. They're allowed. They asked you to do the battery ones.
Yeah, there was a gas one last year.
Was it really?
Yeah, right there when you come out of the parking lot, that very first one on the left, I believe, had a gas generator because I heard it.
But no room for trailers or anything like that?
No,
it's
like a park.
You're in the park on the side of basically the walking path.
Because I considered pulling my trailer down there and watching you guys through the window.
Well, you can't. Okay, so
you could pull it in the parking lot.
Yeah, there's a parking lot right next to, and some participants actually do that. They'll pull their trailer up. The problem is you have to go off the park maybe 150 meters, right? And when for me, I can't speak for Josh and Jeremy, but when you get to mile 70, 75, it's like I ain't going 5 meters further out of my way than I have to.
Nope.
Because every step counts. So, that would be out for me, I think.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, but I'm not walking it. So for me to look through the window, look at you, and then walk down there and cheer you guys on or something like that.
Yeah, I think they've even got hookups.
Yeah, you could pull into that big parking lot and sit right there. You could watch us go by, and you could bring your little folding chair. You could sit your little chair right there and heckle us as we walk by. And
I wouldn't heckle you. I'd want to do like interviews at certain milestones with you.
Oh, that would be awesome. There was a kid last year. He was there was a kid. He was kind of in a tent, kind of catty corner to us. He was not doing the event, but man, through the course of those 55 hours, he learned everyone's name who was on the course. How many participants, Josh? 200, 250?
Yeah, there was probably 200 easy.
And he was the hype man for every single person on that course, and he did it nonstop unless he was sleeping. Yeah, I was like, man, that's kind of cool. It was annoying at first, but then he gained my respect, and I was like, it kind of helped me out.
Yeah, I think he was definitely on the spectrum.
Everyone out there is on the spectrum.
Well, that's true. Everybody doing that's on the spectrum to a certain point. You got to be to do that. And dude, every single person, not one. And he would, as soon as he saw you come around that corner, he was calling your name. It was pretty impressive. It was a little annoying at first, but after a while, it was like, this dude has hyped everybody up on this course, and everybody was talking about him in a positive way.
So how many people don't finish that you're aware of? Like, I'm going to do 100 and for whatever.
About a quarter,
Really?
I think. I could pull up the results, but I think it's about a quarter. It's more than I thought. I thought I had it pulled up, but I don't.
Well, I have.
That's a long way, man.
Up right here. There was. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's about a quarter DNF. Didn't finish.
Wow.
Luke and I, out of let's see, there was.
Now, how many of those just ran out of time? Like, they're walking, man, but it's kind of like failing the Army PT test. Like, you're running the 2 miles, you just didn't make the time.
I would guess that half of that quarter, ran out of time.
Yeah,
and I'll while Josh is looking this up, there was a dude who was not quite obese, but he was pushing obese, and he was fat. He was
Josh
a big dude.
Right here with you.
I'm sorry. No,
I can hear you.
There's another guy. Oh, here's the discriminator. This dude was like 6'4". He was a big dude.
Yeah,
and that dude ran out of time. Like he
Yeah.
tried, like he to the last thing he tried. And I think he just ran out of time.
Well, so I'm looking at it right here, and somebody can do the quick math on this. So there was 173 participants, 160, whatever 173 minus 116 in, that's who didn't make it.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Luke and I came
60
in.
people.
Yeah, Luke and I came
60
in.
something.
Yeah, we were 66 and 67. No, Luke being 66, I was 67.
But you really
Out
want
of
a man check.
170.
You really want a man check. Look at the people who finished in front of you. It's like
Oh.
67-year-old women finished like
Yeah.
5 hours in front of me.
Yeah, the furthest, the number one person was Juan Acevedo. He finished, he did 200.92 miles. That guy came out and ran marathons. Like he would run a marathon and then he would disappear. And then you see him back out there, he'd run another marathon, disappear. I mean, these are world-class athletes. I mean, world-class runners out here. And they'll come out and they'll knock out 5 marathons in, the course of 2 days.
So is Jeremy going to shoot for 150 with you? Is he going to puss out, or?
I don't know. He's got it in mind. He's thinking about it.
I think the son that did it before. So Jared's real big on the three of them sticking together and finishing together at least 100.
Yeah.
Right. Which is cool, So he's the son that he had. I'm not going to say his son's name, but the son that did it last year, 16, he got through it, and now that he got through it, and he's going to be 17. If he wasn't sticking,
he's in his
Jared
prime, man.
And his brother, dude, I think he could do 150 easy. Now that he knows what to expect. And we got Robert, the special forces dude. It's like I think he could do 150 too.
He better do 200. He better do 200.
That's right.
He better do 200, or he's going to have to give his Yarborough knife back. But
hey, I've got this thing,
brother.
I got this thing I want to run by you guys. So, real quick, if you guys are done talking about the Ultra,
yeah,
because I'm dreading it, so I don't want to talk about it anymore. So, I would say that I have come up with this litmus test to see who you're dealing with, asking a very simple question, and you can immediately tell who you're dealing with. But it's not mine. I heard it from Michael Malice. And the more I thought about this question, I'm like, well, that comes straight from Ayn Rand, right? And the question to ask people is, very simple question, are some people inherently better than others? And it works every time, because someone with kind of a Ayn Rand type mindset will answer with one word. Yes.
Yep.
It's very, very simple. It's actually a very simple question. But someone who tends more liberal and overthinks the world and wants to make excuses and all this stuff, they won't say no. They will want to give you an explanation, or they will want more information. It's actually a very simple question. And I've been, fortunately, nobody at the office listens. I've been asking everybody at the office this question, and almost all of them say, well, more information. And when they start saying no, because everyone's the same. It's like, so I'm the same as Hitler? Like, whoa, well,
I didn't say that.
It's like, it's very simple. I mean, I think it's a very simple thing. And the correct answer is yes. Some people are inherently better than others.
100%.
Have y'all been trying
absolutely. Well, I'm not around enough people to actually break that out.
I don't leave my house.
Yeah, once you send it on text, I was like, yeah, that's pretty much everybody I know. But no, it's very valid, because when you get to the liberals and the progressives, they want to live in a world of equity. I mean, that's what they spent the last 10, 15 years, right? Not equality, but equity, where everybody ends up the same. So everybody starts out the same. Everybody is the same. Everybody ends up the same. That's the world that they want to live in, regardless of what the situation is in. And the fact is, man, some people are just shitheads. And that's the reality. And you hate to say it, it's like your kids. I've got multiple kids. We all want to think our kids are the best looking. We all want to think our kids are the smartest. We all want to think our kids are the best. And, I'm not saying this about my kids, but just in general, hey, some people's kids are just shitheads. Some people are just shitheads. Kids are shitheads. They grow up to be shithead adults. And some of them are just plain evil. I mean, we haven't recorded in a while and a lot of things have happened. You look at like, the Charlie Kirk assassination. I mean, some people are just plain evil. And so, do you say, hey, am I inherently better than this individual? Absolutely. So I think you're spot on. I mean, most of us, I think when you text like, well, hell yeah. Why wouldn't you be?
It's easy.
Right. Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Josh. Sorry.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Oh, well, yeah, good litmus test. And today, real quick, I was talking to someone and I posted on X actually. I said, not many people in the Western world know what the Black Sea slave trade was, and it shows. Because the Black Sea slave trade in recorded history goes back to 8 BCE, however you want to say it, BC, 8 BC. In recorded history, that is 1,000 years older, not 1,000, it's a few hundred years older than the African slave trade before it even started going out of Africa, right? And so I shared this little factoid with a person, and I was like, what do you think about that? And this person was like, well, that's kind of crazy. I never thought. I always thought it started in Africa with white people taking black people as slaves. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, I'll tell you what, if you would have been living in the, that area around the Black Sea, whether it's inland Russia or, into Turkey or place like that, you probably would have been a slave. And she goes, well, I can't remember how she framed it, but she immediately put herself as a slave owner rather than being a slave. Who would I have owned? And it's like, oh, I pointed that out. And I'm like, that's very interesting that you frame yourself as the owner rather than the slave.
She's inherently better.
It was interesting to watch. And this person also is not a screaming liberal at all. But you tend to put yourself in the position of owning a slave rather than being one. And it's like, man, slavery is the human race by leaps and bounds has lived way longer with slavery than without. Only 200-300 years without slavery. And it still exists, but without widespread slavery, Crazy, man. Look it up, y'all. Look up the Black Sea slave trade and see what you think.
I'll admit, when you texted that earlier, I've heard about it. I've read just a little bit on it. I'm not super smart on it. Dan, as much as I dislike his personal political stances, Dan Carlin had a great episode on slavery in general. And he talked a little bit about the Black Sea slave trade in there. Most of it was about the Atlantic slave trade, and then the North African slave trade, that continues today through North Africa and really Central Africa and the Middle East and everything. It's a really good episode. Hardcore history. It's the obviously the second best podcast out there next to C3. I recommend everybody check it out.
So I'm typing into Grok real quick because I had a minor freak out just now because the last time we recorded was in August. Is that right?
Yeah, we had not recorded since Charlie Kirk was murdered.
That's right. And I was going to bring up Charlie Kirk, but I was like, oh, no, we recorded it. We recorded before that happened. Dude, no, we haven't. So
I know we haven't because Joe lets me know that we have not recorded in a while. But
we might as well talk about that. Thing.
Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, sorry, Joe. This one's for you, brother.
Grok, by the way, Grok does not bring up. I just typed into Grok. What major news event since 28 August 2025? And I'm not seeing Charlie Kirk on here anywhere.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not surprising.
But I know.
Have you seen your X feed like lately? Is it so? I don't know if it's just mine or not, but there were a lot more Democrats on the X feeds over the last, I don't know, 3 weeks or so. maybe.
Well, are you
Yeah.
looking at the for you or the following?
Well, just whatever when I freaking open up X, whatever.
Well,
That
there's
So-
two tabs. Sometimes it'll
Yeah.
open up for you, and
Yeah,
yes, I
for
have
you.
noticed when you open up for you. Oh yeah, it's trending very liberal. It's like, what is up with this algorithm? This is not for me.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but because I normally keep it on for you,
Mm.
Yeah.
and
What I
it's
do.
been fun, and it's generally been fun. No, dude, it's generally been fun. It's generally most of the people that I follow, or it's the people that I follow that they follow. Even if I don't follow them, that's generally my feed, right? It's been going on for maybe a month. Like the feed's just been garbage. And it's like I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't follow this individual. Nobody that I follow follows this individual. I haven't interacted with this comment. And I've had a number of accounts that I've looked at and and they blocked me. And I look at it and it's like, but here's the thing. I was like, I've never interacted with this account at all.
I mean, that's
Like, I've
pretty
never
normal for
interacted
you
with-
anyway, though, just in general.
Well, in
First
general,
of-
yeah. I mean, people do generally remove me from their Christmas card list, without even, interacting with me. But like it's wild when you're on the interwebs and you're somewhat anonymous.
So I just pulled up X just now and typed the for you, right, and just click that tab. Barack Obama is the first post. Gavin Newsom the
Lord.
second. Rand Paul the third. Chris Murphy.
I'm
Elizabeth
telling you.
Warren. Mehdi Hassan is the fifth one that comes up
They-
on the for you.
there is somebody somewhere at X, dude. They are back. They are back to their old ways somewhere.
Well, Roger, so check this out. If you want engagement, right? What's the best way to get engagement? Have people start fighting. So it's
Yeah.
like if Barack Obama is my first one up, and Luke, man, he is hardcore MAGA, right-wing fascist. Let's put Barack Obama up there so we can get more comments and more
Sure.
You think that think that's it?
Well, that it makes me wonder that, and if there's some sort of like hidden concerted effort from the left to, because like, hey, Blue Sky failed. I mean, I know the government's now like, hey, we're gonna post on Blue Sky now. Ooh, nice bottle, man. That's a big bottle too. That's a big boy. I like it. Yeah, a little Weller Special Reserve. But I think the left realizes that, hey, man, I mean, Elon Musk and X and the info that's being put out there, like you have to be on the platform. Now, I don't know if there's this like, whoever runs the Democratic masses and like, hey, we got to get on there and start posting and whatever. But my problem is like you get all these big names on there and they've got like 1 million followers, or I see a bunch of like 300,000 or 400,000 followers, and there's zero engagement. It's not even like they want to get you fired up, but there's zero engagement. I mean, the stupidest things get posted, like lately it's the White House, right? Oh, he's literally destroying the White House. And people believe this, not realizing that, hey, the White House has been renovated over and over and over and over again, right? Many, 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 many times. But like, there's no accountability there. They don't respond to you. They've got 1 million followers that are probably paid bots anyway. So it's just junk, man. It's just, I think that's my problem with X is it's a lot of noise right now. Like you go through, and I just pulled it like you did, Luke, the for you. And 90% of it's just noise that you're not going to respond to because they're not going to respond to you. There's going to be no dialogue. Anything that you do respond to somebody on there, it's going to be a bot, or they've got one follower that joined yesterday, right? So there is no discussion going on. You look at the words like Charlie Kirk. Hey, there's no discussion going on with the other side there. So 90% of it just becomes it's become a lot of white noise. I just pass through and I just get to the it's actually become very, very similar to Facebook for me. So like Facebook, I'm not very active, with the exception of, and this is, I don't know if Facebook's going to go more and more this way, but my following groups that, RV, camping, trailers, coffee roasting, that type of stuff. So outside of like, all the Gen Pop, like I don't listen and I don't read to all the Gen Pop stuff. Now, the ones that I do follow, like, last 2 days has been the whole Beyond Meat short squeeze, right? So, I've got some followings there that's what I look for, and everything else I just pass over. And it's sad because I think X, I don't know how it'll continue to evolve, and I don't know why the change all of a sudden, but like I said, it's become 90% more just white noise for me that I pass over to get to what I want.
I've honestly haven't been on X a whole lot, not as much as I was. Or I think probably the last, I don't know, probably the last.
Well, it's all one way now.
It is. It's a lot one way, and then you know, again, that and just been busy doing other stuff. But it's all one way, and I really haven't been interested in it. And it's
so
been nice to be off of it.
Is it Joe that's mad about Charlie? Us not talking about Charlie Kirk? Roger?
No.
Who was it? You said somebody is upset. Is always reminded you that.
No, that we haven't recorded.
Oh, that we haven't recorded.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know the Charlie Kirk thing happened, a while ago. It's been about a month, a little over a month. But we didn't get a chance to talk about that. And I do think it bears, it's worth talking about. Even though
100%. I mean, it was only one of the biggest events, I would say, of our lifetime.
Yeah, I was actually shocked. I mean, I think everybody was shocked, but you know what? Take away from the incident itself, and it's I've had conversation with several folks since that time, and some folks that lean left, and some folks that are just straight up liberals. And what's interesting is, because here's my thought process on this, and I've told my family this, and I've had this discussion with you guys and some other friends, but what you're realizing is that 1/3 of the people out there just want you dead. I mean, that's the reality of it. That's, that is a fact. Okay. And, they don't care. It's like, hey, they just don't agree with you. You don't agree with them. So they could not care less. We saw that with all the firings. We saw that with all the social media posts. People just don't care. They are fine with you just being dead and off the face of the earth because you do not agree with them. And I had I was with some friends that were fairly level-headed, but they're on the left side of the aisle. And there was just a complete disbelief. Like, no, that's not true. I'm like, yeah, it is true. Like, have you not been paying attention over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years? And what it is, somebody explained to me, because I was getting a little heated. And I went full Josh, because then it went down the road to 2A. And I'm like, I want a fucking Panther that I can drive down the street right now. She's like, you don't really mean. I'm like, you freaking A right, I do. I'd gotten to that point with it, right? But this guy I talked to the next day, because I was still heated about it. He's like, hey, man, he goes, a lot of those folks on the left are scared, and we're not talking about the far left that wants you dead, but a lot of the folks on the left that are just left of center or whatever, they're scared because they don't want to accept the fact that, hey, man, one of your neighbors to your left, right, and in front of you wants you dead. That's why the left wants us all to come together, because it's easier to kill us all, if we're all in one place. And when you look at the violence between, you look at the Charlie Kirk assassination, I mean, you got to remember, and this was coming, and this is what pisses me off about it. One, you take Charlie Kirk, who, for all we know, never lifted a hand in anger. I mean, it was all conversations that would, to sit out there in an open forum and want to debate the other side. Right. But you look at him, you look at the assassination attempt against Kavanaugh, you look at Donald Trump, hit once, attempted assassination another time that we know of. You look at Steve Scalise, who was shot. It's like, dude, this has been coming for a long time, and then the left has the nerve to come out and be like, you guys need to tone down the rhetoric a little bit. Hey, man, we're not the ones out there trying to kill people, right? It's just like when you go back to the BLM protests and George Floyd and this and that, like, for the right, when things don't go our way, we go to work. We bitch about it. And we come on our podcast and we talk trash or whatever, but we're not burning cities down. We're not Tim Walsh's wife that says, hey, I like to open the windows up so I can smell the burning rubber from the George Floyd riots. Right? That's just not what we do. And I think with a lot of those folks that are, just to the left of center, I think they are. I think it was a very valid point that he made, that a lot of them are scared. And what's, I'm thinking about this now as we talk about it, but it seems more and more on TV. I see the clippets of MSNBC and CNN or whatever. Like, that far left has taken over the party. Like, I don't think there's any doubt. We've seen it with the shutdown. It's like there is no I mean, did you guys see Carville cook off? I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Dude, he cooked and I'm not a huge fan of his. He makes some valid points here and there. But I mean, the guy's solidly on the left side of the aisle, and he's, old school left, moderate. moderate left, whatever. But he is seen as fringe now. I mean, he was cooking off over, boys and girls sports. But the left side of the party, and I think, it's a smaller, it's a blip or, a piece of it. But you look at what's going on with Chuck Schumer and possibly being primaried by AOC, the left has been hijacked by the fringe because those guys and gals are scared to be primaried. They're scared to lose their jobs. And so they're going along with, dude, look at Fetterman. Like, this is bizarre, Oral. We've said this before. I have probably liked more of his posts and retweeted. I mean, if you'd have told me this, his election was 2 years ago. If you'd have told me this 2 years ago, I thought you were like injecting black tar hair on. There's no way. But I'm like, this guy is the old school moderate left. They're like, hey, dude, you kind of, keep the government open. You got to vote this way. Let's say he is like the, good Lord, dude. He's like the common sense of the left. And I would have never, ever thought about that. Or thought of that.
I mean, he's basically mid-90s Bill Clinton.
Term Bill Clinton. Absolutely. Yeah, second term Bill Clinton. Spot on.
He's which is absolutely wild. Yeah, I was in Hawaii when got the news that Charlie Kirk had been murdered, and for me, everybody likes to make fun of Josh is a little radical, a little on the far right, especially my Second Amendment stance. I still believe to this day everybody should be able to own a nuclear weapon if they want one. Right. And
it's all about the maintenance.
Maintenance, whatever. If I can maintain one, if I can do whatever, like I should be able to own one. Not if I can maintain. I should be able to own one. Period. Right. I should, like you said, I should be able to go buy a 155 howitzer if I want one. That is just that, and that is what the founders intended. But this isn't a Second Amendment episode, unfortunately. But what the left doesn't realize.
Luke's fuming. He's ready. He's ready to kick off.
I think the left realizes it now. Hopefully, Charlie Kirk was a moderate. He was the moderate position, right? He was, like you said, he was willing to go into the lion's den and have the conversation with those on the left. And it was, Ben Shapiro does the same thing. It's like, if you disagree with me, you go to the front of the line to get on that microphone and let's have a conversation. I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to talk to people who want me dead because we don't have anything to discuss. We don't. If you think it's okay to mutilate children, I don't have anything to discuss with you. There's no common ground. Right. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people miss is, well, we got to have debate. We got to talk about the issues and find the common ground. There's no common ground when you want to mutilate kids. There's no common ground with me on that. There's nothing to discuss. You want to let boys play in girls' sports? There's no common ground with me. That's a hard no. So there's nothing. You want to take my guns away from me? There's no common ground. That's a hard no. So, for Charlie Kirk to, continuously go in and be like, we got to, we have to have dialogue. We have to talk to them. Hey, brother, good on you. But like you said, it's like the guy who was willing to talk to them, they killed him. So I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to talk to them. They want me dead. And generally, you really can't negotiate with people who want you dead. There's generally the talking is done. I hope my other Charlie shirt gets here soon. Of course, I order them. Of course, I don't know how many they have sold. Roger is wearing his tonight. For those of you watching on YouTube, and but it's and you got to think too is they murdered a potential future presidential candidate. Because, or an appointee, a political appointee, right? Because he was going to be one of those.
I wasn't I was familiar with Charlie Kirk. I'd seen his videos here and there. I wasn't a member of Turning Point USA or anything like that. I respected his videos. I thought I agreed with a lot of what he said because, again, he's a moderate conservative, at least socially, right? you're 19, you're George H.W. Bush, like conservative, right? Which,
Mhm.
and I'm sure Bill Clinton probably would have agreed, and Hillary too, with a lot of the stances back in the day, with a lot of the stances he made. So I was familiar with his philosophy, right? And I'd watched his videos, not religiously. I didn't listen to his podcast or anything, but I knew who he was, for the most part. Like you guys said, dude was like a moderate conservative. He wasn't even your Josh type conservative, Um, and yeah, when he got killed, first thing, and let's just bring it up right now, and I'll return back to Charlie Kirk himself, is this was a trans adjacent person, period. And we will never get the toxicology report on which pharmaceuticals this person was on, but most likely probably some sort of antidepressants. His parents, obviously were conservative. He, didn't lean that way, which is totally normal for a kid that age, but he went the absolute other way with it. I know everybody has probably, seen the story of the shooter and all this stuff. And it's just so bad that, it happened a month ago, yet now it's kind of out of the conversation, but the world hasn't changed. Yeah. At all, but here's the thing. Like you guys say, I agree with you. What it's a waste of time talking to people who want to kill you. Now, here's the thing though, Josh and Roger, I'll pass this by and we can talk about it for a second. If you run into, not during a protest, but let's say that one of your kids is friends, or my kid, whoever, they're friends with somebody who is trans adjacent or leans that way, right? And they come over to the house and you find yourself in a quasi I know this is like a impossible scenario, a quasi civil conversation where you disagree on this stuff, right? You just disagree, and you have this civil conversation. Well, I think that men are men, and women are women. I don't agree with all that stuff. In that moment, they don't want to kill you. In that moment, the moment they want to kill you is when you have a voice like Charlie Kirk, when you can actually reach more people. Now you're a target. So what I know they want to kill you for your stances if you have a reach, if you have an influence. It's like I saw a great meme today. It's like they only kill you when you speak the truth. And it had like JFK, RFK, Martin Luther King, I don't agree with this one, but John Lennon, Charlie Kirk. It's like, yeah, man, when you start scaring people with your speech, when your speech starts, moving the economy, moving polls, yeah, you're in danger. More from the left than the right lately. And but kick that around. What do y'all think?
Yeah, absolutely. And what happens is they do it to themselves, and they know what they're doing. Okay. It's the radical left. I mean, they're the ones that are inciting the violence, and they do it on CNN. They do it on MSNBC. They do it on all the left news networks that we've seen for the last 8, 9, 10, 12 years. You're a fascist. You're Hitler. It's like and I think you said it, Luke, and we've heard it a couple of times through different platforms, but for us conservatives, somebody that you disagree with, we try to reason with them and we try to educate them. Like, why do you believe this? Well, let me try to educate you, right? Because we believe that, hey, if I educate you and throw facts out there, that maybe you'll change your mind, or hey, at least you'll give some thought to it. The left believes that we are evil. And Luke, I think you said it best. It's like when you think something's evil, there's only one way to get rid of it, right? And so that is what the left, and that's what the left media has done to the folks. So here's what happens. You get the Charlie Kirks out there, and I was a lot like you. I'd heard snippets. I'd obviously seen some of the stuff on YouTube and this and that. The left picks that up, and he becomes evil, right? And the thing is, they're not even taking his whole speech and saying we disagree with it. They know what they're doing, right? They edit it, they clip it out, the piece that they don't like that's going to fire their base up. And that's what they send around to all their news networks, so that when these two dudes or whatever they are sitting in their apartment and you hear the little speech come up, that's bullshit, man. Yeah, we got to do something about this. Heck yeah, man. They're going to take down democracy. This is fascism. This is authoritarianism. We don't have any kings. All that crap that they're doing, that's what they do. They fire up and they know exactly what they're doing, because you have folks out there that are unhinged, whether they're on meds, psychs, whatever the heck it is, but they know exactly what they're doing. And when you have that reach, they've got to silence you. And the only way, like you called it, it's like they convince them that they're evil. And once they are convinced that they're evil or that you're evil or we're evil, there's only one way to get rid of it, man. You ain't converting that. It's like, hey, we're going to kill you. And I think we saw it firsthand with all of the folks that people are morons. Okay. Just in general, like we all have jobs and, you got to pay the bills and this and that. Like, I'm not coming on here as a Geico rep talking about, this and that, all the stuff that they did from teachers to Here's the other thing. One, the enemy is showing themselves, but the other thing that people better pay attention to, how many of these were teachers, caretakers, right? Doctors, nurses, healthcare practitioners, counselors. These are folks that are responsible for helping to raise your kids through, school or whatever it is on a daily basis. The enemy is showing their face. They are showing you exactly who they are. And these are people that are in your schools that are helping, quote unquote, teach your kids, indoctrinate your kids in a lot of places. That's why here in Arizona, homeschooling's so big. That's why charter schools are so big, because I don't want that. I thank God my kids are grown, man, because I don't want my kids subject to that stuff. I know I just went all over the place, but whatever.
No, you didn't. I think Josh about to say something, but the litmus test, Roger hit on it. The litmus test you use is, what do you think about Charlie Kirk's murder? And if they say anything other than it's horrible, that should not have happened, that's a litmus test. And I'm telling, because immediately, and I'll say it, some people pretty close to me, when it happened, we were freaked out. We're like, what the man, we've entered, this is it. Like we're in a different world now. And I had people trying to, the younger folks, the Zoomers, the millennials, trying to explain to us, well, you don't understand. Like, yeah, it's horrible, but it really inflamed a lot of people. It's like, no. So what do they say? It's in a million movies. Always discount everything before but. So what you're doing
100%.
is you are giving a permission structure. Ben Shapiro, by the way, Ben Shapiro is the one who talks about the permission structure. You're given a permission structure for this type of thing to happen. It's like, well, it's not like, well, she was wearing a tight skirt. That's exactly what it is. If she wasn't dressed so provocatively, this wouldn't have happened. If he just would have shut his mouth and not had such a big platform, it goes back to that, man. That's a litmus test, bro. It's
Dave Portnoy brought that up, not specifically
Yes.
Charlie Cook, but talking about, that's why I'm done with that dude. I'm done with so many of these people because, basically with Donald Trump saying, well, he deserved it. He deserved it. All that rhetoric he throws out there, he deserved it. It pisses me off.
You go ahead, Josh. Sorry.
No, I was going to say to, to Roger's point about when, they convince themselves and each other in their echo chambers that, no, they really are evil. You take the last however many years that the left has been labeling everybody on the right a Nazi. Jim Psaki came out today or yesterday and was like, Trump's really bad, but you know who's worse? You know who's worse than Trump? Which they've already equated Trump to Hitler, a million times. So basically, who's worse than Hitler? J.D. Vance. Right? Because now they've got to start, start getting that conditioning in. And this is how a lot of people on the left have convinced themselves that abortion is moral because it's not a baby. It's just a clump of cells. That's how they convince themselves. That's why you talk to a lot of people who get abortion. It's like, well, it's not a baby. It's just a clump of cells. And that's how the left, they got that conditioning in that you're not doing anything wrong, right? It's just a clump of cells. No, this person is literally Hitler, right? They're Hitler. They're evil. They're a threat to democracy. They're a threat to you. You better get them before they get you, brother. Right. And so, yeah, no, I know Roger's spot on with that. And again, I don't have anything to discuss with these people. I don't, because I'm going to tell you right now, the Clintons of the left, they're gone. They don't exist anymore. Roger's 100% right. The party has been hijacked they allowed themselves to get hijacked by the squad. They allowed themselves to get hijacked, by the far left, Hakeem Jeffries and everybody, because the old guard, and as much as they tried, they did a good job about keeping, for the most part, everybody in line. But you guys remember early on, right after she got into office, AOC, bowed up on Nancy Pelosi, and Pelosi put her right back in line. Well,
Oh yeah.
it didn't last, right? Because the left has been absolutely hijacked, because for whatever reason, and it'll be a case study, right? Somebody should really do a case study on it. For whatever reason, they allowed the less than 1% of, the trans and all the far left ideologues to hijack an entire political party.
Money. It's funding.
It's absolutely wild.
It's
Yeah,
clicks.
clicks. And the social media, and that may be it right there. That's actually a really good point, right?
AOC gets
It's
way
just
more
social
clicks
media.
than Chuck Schumer. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. No, I think you might be on to, you're probably onto something with that. Because I mean, that party is gone. Bill Clinton, they would call Bill Clinton a Nazi. They would be like, second term Bill Clinton. They'd be like, he's
100%.
basically Hitler, right? For for his stances in his second term, especially his second term, man, dude, he'd be an outcast. He'd be a pariah. It's it's
Yeah.
wild.
It used to not bother me, but I used to think about it, right? In fact, not long ago, the whole argument is like, well, if we do this, they'll just do it to us back, that whole thing. Well, if we go this way, then there's going to be a backlash. And yeah, maybe that's true, but it's true though. But I'll tell you what, I don't care anymore.
They're just going to kill you harder.
Exactly. I don't care. It's like we live in interesting times and I don't care. I want to get mine now. And maybe it's very immature, but that's how I feel now. It's like, I don't care. I don't care.
I'm not worried about what they might do to me because we just spent the last 20 years watching them do it and living through them doing it. So I'm not worried about what they might do because we all lived through what they did.
I mean, what are they going to do? Take down C3 YouTube videos? I mean, what are they going to do?
Exactly.
Again,
I hate that attitude. I hate that attitude. I hate the whole we gotta stay on the moral high road. Let me tell you something. Moral high road gets pretty windy at night, and I go back and I'm a big Game of Thrones fan.
It was good.
I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. Where did taking the moral high road get Ned Stark? Yeah,
Josh is a fan of Littlefinger quotes, man. I mean, it's like that's your most often quoted, which I would have figured would be the Hound, but Littlefinger is your most often quoted. Chaos is a ladder. Where did the moral high ground get that?
Because he lives in reality. That dude lives like you don't like it,
exactly,
right? But that is the operating environment, and I'm with Josh on this thing. And I'd made this conscious decision a while ago, after the Charlie Kirk assassination. It's like, I am done with the left, for all the reasons that Josh said. There's no more talking. There's no more discussing. I just refuse to associate with you. I have nothing to explain. I'm not going to convince you. You're literally out here trying to kill us. It's like, you look at that, you look at what happened with Charlotte, with the Ukrainian lady on the bus. What's crazy about all this stuff is I've actually had to tell my, and we, us military backgrounds, a lot of our listeners out there, we're always a little, paranoid anyway, or whatever you want to call it. But now it's like, hey man, you actually have to take active force protection measures, right? You and your family. It's no longer, hey, I need to be able to see the exit. It's like, no, I need to sit in the corner, right? It's hey, I do need to carry everywhere I go. That I'm allowed to go or whatever, because I have no more discussions or no more conversations with the left. There's nothing that you're going to. We are so far apart on this thing that it goes back to when we first started the C3. We used to talk about it. It's like years ago when you look at the Clinton years, and I blame Barry for all this, but the left and the right, we had the same goals. We just had different ways of getting there. And then Barry came along. We don't have the same goals anymore. Okay, there's no, and I know I'm piggybacking off Josh, but it's hey, I don't want penises in the women's locker room. There's no middle ground there. I don't want abortions. There's no middle ground there. I don't want to be shot because, I have different beliefs than you do. There's no middle ground there. There's nothing to discuss. And you're never going to do anything to convince or educate those folks because they're happy with their 10-second, TikTok left talking points. And that to them is the gospel. And the thing is, now we're not even talking about, hey, truth or facts or principles or what they believe in. That's not the case. Hey, man, die on your sword for your principles. Oh, hey, well, you know what? At least it's like the people that still wear the mask, not just the mask. Like, hey, man, I actually have some respect for those that are out there, the gloves, the mask, the face shield. You know why? Because they're true believers. They are true believers in their cause and they have their principles and they're sticking to it. Versus, hey, man, they get their 15-second talking point from the left on TikTok and that's what they believe. Doesn't matter if it's right, wrong. Doesn't matter if you have facts. So there's no convincing them. And I don't need to convince them anymore. I speak with my dollar. I don't need to try to convince anybody. I just don't associate with them anymore.
So I'm in one of those mindsets tonight where a thought will come into my head and then I'll immediately leave while I'm talking, because I'll go down these roads and everything. But I heard a really great quote today, and check this out. I'm on a roll today. Well, this wasn't my thought, but so getting back to the Charlie Kirk and who killed him, getting back to Donald Trump and who tried to kill him multiple times, getting back to the subway stabbing, right? The poor Ukrainian girl who got killed for no reason, right? What the left is doing is they're weaponizing mental illness. From 100%. Now on, start thinking about, I heard that and I was like, holy crap, weaponized mental illness, 100%. Those are the foot soldiers. Those are the shock troops. The mentally ill are the shock troops. Unbelievable. I just, when I heard that, I was like, genius. You know who said it? You want to guess, Josh? What podcast I heard that on? It was Joe Rogan. So
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, he said it. And I was like, wow. It's
good.
I was like, that's pretty good. So I want to talk about No Kings real quick, and we can go back to Charlie Kirk and the divide and everything. But I don't even know what this No King stuff is about. I think the icing on the cake was when there was a No Kings rally in London. A bunch of British people doing it. They were out in front of the U.S. Embassy. No Kings. It's like, what are you? Now I get it. All right. They believe that Trump is acting in a manner of a king. Okay. Yeah, because I guess these days acting in a manner of a king is getting elected, with an overwhelming majority of
well, you have to lose an election first. You have to win an election, lose an election,
and then get an overwhelming, overwhelming vote.
Because that's what fascists do. Is
and then
they lose
and then follow up on what you said you were going to do to get elected. I guess that's what a king is. But I went down a couple rabbit holes today. One of them was, that's when it started with the Black Death. Actually, I can't remember why I was looking up the Black Death, but that led to the Black Sea slave trade. And somehow that led to a guy named Robert Francois Daumier in France in the mid 18th century, tried to assassinate. It was King Louis the 15th. Yeah, tried to assassinate him. He jumped into his carriage and tried to stab him with a penknife. But you know how those French are. King Louis had so many clothes on, the knife barely went through the clothes and barely got him. So this guy, he wounded the king. But the king was like, well, we're not having that. On 9 January is when he tried to stab the king. And on 28 March of 1757, they put Robert Francois Daumier to death by quartering, but not before torturing him in front of a crowd of thousands of people. That's what a king does to a potential assassin. I don't, and I'm going somewhere with this, and, we can circle back or whatever. What the hell is going on with those now 3 assassinations, possibly 4, with a deer stand right outside of, where Trump lands in Florida, where there's no game whatsoever. So let's call it 4. Let's call it 4 attempts. How come? I know the second attempt at the golf course, that guy's on trial right now, I think. It's like, but we hear nothing about it. How come we're not hearing anything about Charlie Kirk's murderer? How come we're not hearing any of that in the news? It's like, you know what? Y'all are done with a lot of stuff, as I am too, but I'm also done with the deep state nonsense. Like, CIA, FBI, DOJ, whoever is making the decision, you know what? We do need to lower the temperature. We don't need this to be on the TV screens every day, riling people up, thinking about what happened. Because I guarantee you there is an effort, some sort of effort to suppress that stuff, or at least to let's not cover this so much, because not even Fox is covering it. No one's covering it. You know why? Because they're trying to turn down the temperature. You don't want those Josh Rogers and Lukes and the people they listen to, the 4 people that listen to them, to start getting worked up. I'm telling you, man, I'm you guys know me. I'm not the conspiracy theorist type, but I am done with it. It's like when the other side's in charge again, as they were when Biden was president, and even before Trump, the temperature got, or the volume on all this stuff, George Floyd, it got turned up to 11. We heard about it nonstop. Now, all these things that are potentially seriously damaging to our country, we don't hear about them anymore. Well, that was a month ago. Who knows why the 9 trans people, 2 days before it happened, were posting that Charlie Kirk is going to die when he comes here. I guess we're just supposed to forget about that, because we might get too worked up against these people with serious mental illness. Not only are they weaponizing mental illness, the system itself, and Trump's in power right now, by the way, the system itself is enabling it by not making the rest of us mad enough. Anyway, sorry, I had to go off.
No, it's good. It's the same thing with, same excuse why they said they weren't going to, replay video and images from 9/11, right? We don't want Islamophobia. We don't want people to get worked up. We don't want people to, go after those poor, innocent Muslims. How's that working out for everybody? How's that working out for Dearborn, Michigan, where the police chief just came out and said that they absolutely are going to play the call to prayer out loud 5 times a day, because, quote, it's the same as church bells. So it's,
Lord.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. You can't vote your way out of that, people. You're not going to vote your way out of that. I don't care what those, people who still think we're playing, by the Marquis of Queensberry rules say. You're not going to vote your way out of that. So
when was the last time you heard church bells?
Bro, I heard church bells. I couldn't tell you.
That's why I was saying I would gladly give up church bells to never have to listen to the call of prayer ever again in my life.
100%.
Put it to you that way.
100%.
That freedom of religion thing can be turned on its head as well. I shouldn't be subjected to a religion I don't agree with. I know that's not the art. I know. I'm just playing.
No, I got you. No, dude. I agree. If it came down to you either have to hear church bells and the morning call to prayer, or nobody hears anything, I'd be like, I don't want to hear anything.
Yeah, that's King Solomon. That's King Solomon philosophy, man. Okay, we're gonna split the baby. No, don't do that. It's like, okay, just give them both up. Fine.
Yeah,
that's wisdom right there.
Yeah, no, 100%. So yeah, no, that's that's why they wouldn't replay the images of 9/11. You want to turn down because like you said, we got to turn down the temperature. But you remember Maxine and there's numerous examples. Remember when Maxine Waters was like, "Get out there, get in their face." Don't give them no peace. You see them out in the restaurant, wherever, like get in their face and give them the business. We're like, oh, okay, right? Because again, like Roger said, these people want you dead. The left wants you dead, and the people on the left who don't want you dead, I'm gonna tell you right now, they're the minority, because those people kill you in a heartbeat. If your platform gets big enough, like Luke said, if you have a large enough platform, guess what? You got to go. You're a problem. You are a problem, and you have to go.
And then when we go down this Marxist rabbit hole, right? I want to not walk back what I said about having the larger platform. But if you look at the Marxist, especially the Maoist way of thinking, it's like, yeah, you go after the ones with power first, right? Mm-hmm. And then it starts moving down to people with an audience of 4 like us, or not even us who have it's slippery slope, what. But that's how Marxists work, man. It's cultural revolution, man. These people are not human beings, man. They're not.
So what's going to happen in New York City once Mom Donnie wins the mayoral race? Because that's going to happen. That's happening, right?
A bunch of people are going to leave and take their and take their shitty ideology to other places and spread it. That's exactly what's going to happen. I wish there was a rule. There should be a law that if you vote for somebody, like you vote for the mayor, vote for the governor, whatever, you are not allowed to leave their jurisdiction while they're in office. You are not allowed to. So everybody who votes for Mamdani, you cannot move out of New York City for the entire time that he's the mayor. That should be the rule.
Is there an example? Because my wife is always like, they talk about him so much because he's always like, you watch Fox News. I mean, they're always talking about Mamdani. It's like, well, he is a communist. Like, he's an avowed communist, and he's a sympathizer. He's a terrorist sympathizer. I mean, there's no walking that back. I mean, you said what you said, you did what you did, and I'm trying to think of another case where somebody so radical got elected to such a position of prominence where a governor of a state would gladly step down to be the mayor of a city. I mean, that's rare. It's very rare. In fact, where else in the world is it like that besides maybe London? I don't know. So it's hard. I tend to think that, to answer your question, Roger, I don't think much at first, right? I think he's going to get into office, and now I'm the mayor and all this stuff, and they may do some pilot programs with some city funded supermarkets and all this stuff, and
that's what I want.
Taxes.
I want to go to the city funded supermarket.
Oh God. Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely a canary in the coal mine, because you got to look at demographics and stuff. I mean, these young people are just all about communism and Marxism. They're just all about it, man. What's so bad? I mean, it's never been tried right. It's been tried, but not the right way.
It's never been done correctly. But here's the thing, though. Here's what's going to happen. He's going to get elected. He's going to implement his city-run grocery stores, but they're not going to fail, because when they do start to fail, behind the scenes, they're going to pump taxpayer dollars into it. They're going to make it to it's on its face. So like, see, it's working. But behind the scenes, dude, they are not going to let that fail. And so that's going to be that, and everybody's going to see, well, oh look, great, it worked. And then when somebody replaces them, when he's finally out of office, and somebody comes in and they're they show everything to be like, oh well, like you said, Luke, he didn't implement it the right way. Right? It's communists aren't real people, and every single one of them should be thrown from helicopters.
I'll be curious to see what the actual voting looks like. Right now, everything I've seen, and I've honestly, the only polling I've seen has been from Fox News, and he sits at like 51%. And I think Cuomo's like in the mid-20s, and the other dude's, in the teens or whatever. But as radical as this dude is, I mean, is he seriously going to win the popular vote for dude, it's like cognitive dissonance for me. Like, I can't, my mind cannot comprehend that.
Yeah, no, he's going to win. Right. I mean, he is going to win. Look at New York. The best you can come up with is Mamdani and Cuomo. And it wasn't Cuomo supposed to be canceled, but the whole Me Too thing.
Oh, that's
like,
it's like,
yeah, well, I know. I was like
6 months ago. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's, so no, he's going to win. And that's gonna, and that's gonna be that.
Well, he can never be president. At least there's that.
There is that. Well, he's gonna, but he can be. You know what he can be? Senator.
Yeah, I do agree. I don't know if Roger went this far. I don't think you did, Roger. But looking at 20, and Josh, I'm so glad you caught that. About JD Vance. I had not seen Jen Psaki say that, but
crazy.
Oh, and she talked about his wife.
She went after Usha too.
Yeah.
Dude, I still love what my wife said about Jen Psaki. She goes, it sounds like a drink you'd get at a bar that would make you throw up 10 minutes after drinking it. Jen Psaki. That's pretty funny. But I do think looking at it more and more, I think we might see AOC run for president in 2028. I think that's a real possibility, man. What do you think? I mean, you got her, you've got Newsom, you've still got Hochul, you've got if they were saying, and I hate this person, not hate them, but I dislike their politics. Like Amy Klobuchar, it's like, why don't you run somebody like halfway sane, like you know? But
I think
AOC, I don't know.
her big problem, I think, and I throw her in the same candidate or the basket as Bernie Sanders. I think they're going to use her for the fundraising, the money. I don't think she makes it to that level because she's got the same problem as Kamala. She's not very articulate and she's just not very bright. And I think when you narrow it down and you get on that you get on the stage for those presidential debates and this and that, they're just bad, man. And people see through that. I mean, Kamala spent $1 billion, dude, $1 billion, and lost every single swing state.
That's got to be
She's better than
Kamala
Kamala
on a presidential campaign.
Barely. But you take like a Hochul, I think she would do well. I think you take a Shapiro, he would do very well.
He would do well.
Shapiro would do very well.
Klobuchar. I mean, these are folks that, hey, I don't agree with any of their stances, but you know what? They can speak like in complete sentences and actually make sense to their base. I just, and I'm not a huge follower of AOC, so maybe I'm just, talking out of the side of my ass or whatever, but she just, every time I've heard her speak, she's not very articulate and she's just not very bright. She's just not an educated person that can get up there and talk about any of these issues. And where she's at her level, just like with any the representatives, nobody holds them accountable. They get their, 30, 45-second snippet on the media and the news, and that's it. But, even with the crappy left media that we have, you try to hold their feet to the fire a little bit, and she's just not able to answer. And Kamala is the same way. I mean, or was the same way, and she still is the same way. Even her crappy ass interviews that she does now, she still can't answer.
So you don't think she'll be on the debate stage? So you're saying right now?
I don't think she runs, dude. I don't think she runs.
She's got plenty of time. She doesn't have to run in 2028.
You know
she
what?
Could run in 2032.
She could, and I think when you get the money and the power, I mean, she's got all that now. There's no reason for her to leave unless she's just, hey, I want to be president. But like you said, I mean, who knows? It's like I think with a Ron DeSantis type, talking about the right. Hey, man, you take some acting classes and read a couple of history books, maybe in 4 years, 8 years. I mean, 12 years, right?
Oh, boy. We're in trouble.
Because I think on the right, it's going to be, the toss-up will be between J.D. Vance and probably Rubio at this point.
Yeah. And I mean,
who,
Rubio
again, is killing it.
Killing it.
I think, and if the GOP is not smart, we all know that. I think if they were smart, they would decide that prior to, right?
Yes.
Like, hey, and guess what? Hey, the primary, or even worry about that. Just come out and be like, hey, we're at JD Vance and Rubio. That's the ticket. Because again, man, little Marco's from my home state, and I was super vanilla on him up until this administration, and he has done nothing but kill it and crush it, as Sec State and National Security Advisor. Like the guy, he's done a great job, man. I'm impressed. I continue to be impressed by him.
They need to have the conversation with him, and by they, I say the greater GOP. And he's like, hey, dude, you were meant to be a statesman. You're going to be the statesman of your generation. The modern day Kissinger, and hey, that's probably what we need to do with you, right? Which is no, I mean, dude, that's huge, right? I mean, the guy is killing it.
Yeah,
that'd probably be the right answer. That would definitely be the right answer. Solidify your legacy.
Yes,
and go that way with it. Yeah, because dude, he just flipped the switch, man. I've never seen him like this.
No, I haven't either. Dude, in the Senate, you'd hear him in the Senate, you see him in the Senate, and you're like, this milk toast,
yes,
MFer, just like, God, not doing anything. And all of a sudden, this guy is like, man, dude.
Well, and
the right person for the right job. No, I was just saying the right person for the right job at the right time. He is by far, him and Homan, like I'd say by far. I mean, dude, the best cabinet, like killing it. killing it. Not that Holman's in the cabinet, but you know what I'm saying. Like pick.
Yeah, and I
Oh.
think one Homan needs to get pardoned like right now because
Yeah,
his
oh,
ass is
yeah,
going to jail,
dude.
dude.
Yeah, they
Dude.
need to pardon Holman. Yeah, they've absolutely got to pardon that dude.
But I think this is the big difference that we've seen, you know, between Trump's first and second term, and you know, he talked about it on the Joe Rogan episode. But it's you know, because in the Senate, there's obviously a pecking order, just like in the House, right? And you've got your whips and this and that. And if you want to be on committees, so there's like, you know, you got to kind of play by the rules and you can't be too much of a, you know, an outlier one way or another. But I think, you know, part of what Trump was looking for is like, hey, man, I need somebody who's fiery, who's going to fight back, you know, as long as you've got the same beliefs I do, and you need to go out at 110%. And maybe this was the calling that Rubio needed, right? To where, hey, you don't have the constraints of the Senate anymore. You know, he's got his beliefs or, you know, whatever, maybe they are or were, or they are now aligned with Trump. And hey, man, you go after it and you go out at 110% and you say and do what you want. And you can get fired up and you don't necessarily have to be the quote unquote statesman, but, you know, he hasn't gone off the reservation, but what he's done, I mean, dude, it's been incredible. And, you know, with Homan, dude, I love watching that dude's interviews. You could do a whole compilation of you know, his kickbacks.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
I mean, dude, I love it, but yeah, he's definitely going to need a pardon. So you might want to go ahead and work that up right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I just
grab bag. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask a question. Like, I don't see, I mean, I get it. You know, under, you know, you got to have the appearance of, you know, the democracy, right? By having a primary and, you know, in 2028.
Democrats didn't.
But well, yeah, right. But they're, you know, but they were also said we can't have kings, but yet they anyway. Won't beat that dead horse. But you know, I mean, anything after that for Vance is a demotion, and you just can't. It doesn't work. Like Vance is either the next GOP nominee for president, or you actually, I think you weaken your position if he's not, because you're like, well, the guy that you said was, you know, the greatest VP ever. Right, you just turn around and you guys didn't even pick him to be your president. Like that's, you know, that says a lot, not only about him but about your party. But we need him in the White House because we need that ex White House account to continue to be fire.
Oh, bro,
dude, that guy is straight fire on X, man. He's one of the best accounts. Whether you like the dude or not, that dude is a straight savage. It's so
they all are, dude. You know, Levitt, you know, when they're talking about who made the decision to go to Budapest, your mom.
Your mom.
It was so good.
Hey,
but you know what? The left got so outraged. I'm like, I'm sorry. I vaguely remember the president calling Ducey a stupid son of a bitch. Oh, but we're good with that.
You know, and then, you know, let's bring up Darren again. Let's pick on Darren a little while. Darren doesn't like this sort of behavior from his party. And it's like, I understand his mindset. I get it, Darren. I really do. But bro, 1992 was a long time ago. And I seem to recall back then a very, very unorthodox candidate who was saying some pretty crazy stuff on stage in 92. You voted for him. His name was Ross Perot.
Not got
and
a
it's
chart.
like, dude, I don't, it's like, hey, man, we might as well give it back a little bit. Josh said it. We've been getting beat up the last 20 years, man. Beat up a lot of times by our own party. Tell us, well, you guys need to calm down. You need to calm down and be civil about this. It's like, no, man, that ship has sailed. I'm 52 years old. All right. You know, I don't know. I don't get it. I understand not liking Trump. I get that. I believe me. I understand because the guy he's a little abrasive to a lot of people, man.
I mean, he's only stopped 8 wars, but whatever.
I know. You know, does not look at his record though. So one of two things, and I kick it to Roger, I guess. One of two things, and we can cover both of these, but we're talking about good cabinet picks. Here's one I wish was older and had a little bit more gravitas because I think he has enough, but he's not old enough. It's like, oh, what does he know? Pete Hegseth's dressing down of the generals, or the nuking of the drug boats in Venezuela or off the coast of Venezuela. I mean, I think those two topics are pretty cool to talk about.
Well, one, I think Rand Paul is taking the wrong stance on that. I mean, you're just never going to get any sympathy out of me for nuking boats that are bringing drugs into the country that are literally killing Americans. So, you know, I get it, you know, ends justify the means, yada, yada, yada. it's right up there with the Democrats supporting Abreu Garcia. You're just never going to get me to support a wife beater and that type of stuff. Hegseth, you know what's Hegseth? He embodies the spirit of Trump's election. He is rocking the boat. It is a status quo. Josh says it all the time with all these fat generals that have lost, 2 wars over 2+ decades. How many soldiers, have died, this and that. And it's status quo. We know better. You don't know. I'm a general. I've been in for 53 years and da 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 da. You look like a piece of chewed bubble gum. This is a guy who's served, who's deployed. He's seen it. He's young. He got a little bit more, vinegar in his piss. I get it. As you become older, theoretically become a little wiser, maybe a little bit more reserved. But hey, man, he's a go-getter, and that's how we won wars back in the day. And we are bloated. Dude, and that's the thing is, he's upsetting the apple cart, right? That's the problem. People got their little empires, they got their little kingdoms, they got their money, they got their pensions, they got their retirement, they got their positions. Hey man, it's like moving what was it, Northcom and Southcom out to Fort Bragg, right? When he announced that the other day, right? Because and everybody, I can't believe this. Why would we move to Fort Bragg? Well, it kind of is the center of the universe for the Army. For the most part, or that area anyway. But you know what? People got their farms, they got their acreage out there. Well, you can't move. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, it actually does. Maybe not 50 years ago, 75 years ago. Obviously, mobility has changed a lot, but a lot of that does. But everybody's got their little piece of the pie that they're trying to protect, and they're just pissed at this guy that comes in who's younger than they are. He's just young. He's stupid. He doesn't know any better. Well, you know what? I'll put his record up against yours, man, because your record ain't too good over the last 2 decades. Right? You look like a damn Mexican general and you've lost 2 wars. I go back to the World War II days where they say we had, 8 generals, 7 generals, or 4 stars. That's what won World War II. Right? I'd go back to those days because, hey, we are fat. It's time to trim the fat, man. And that happens with anything, and I'm not just picking on all those folks. I get it. They're not all decision makers. A lot of it, it's politics and, who the president is at the time, but we're bloated. And just like any organization, there comes a time where you have to become more lean. You have to become more agile. You trim the fat. And the fact is, when you look at the woke leaders that we've had over the several years, thank God I'm retired. I just don't have any respect for them. And I can tell you with the folks that we talked to, a lot of them don't have any respect for them. I'm sorry, watching, General Milley at 350 pounds, look like a piece of chewed bubblegum, waddle his ass across McPherson Square, just isn't very motivating for me. These guys aren't on the battlefield. And I think, some of us were spoiled because of the communities we came from. Like, when we looked at those commanders and leaders, guess what? They were out there with you, right? They were out there with you. And they were out there doing the job. And man, you just can't say that, Austin. Dude, you can go down the list, and I pick on the generals, but it's no different on the senior enlisted side. There aren't too many sergeants major of the Army that I've been impressed with. So yeah, man, he's upsetting the status quo, and it's no different than Elon Musk coming in with Doge and big balls with he's a 22-year-old kid. Well, you know what? He's 10 times smarter and better at your job. So why don't you give him a crack at it? We're $38 trillion in debt right now. So you know what? I'm pretty good with letting the 23-year-old Harvard or MIT grad take a crack at it. That's exactly what it is, man. They're just pissed because their little mini kingdoms are going to get crumbled.
It's interesting with the well, I'll start with the Venezuelan drug boat. I'm with you. They're bringing drugs into the United States, is killing Americans. Guess what? We've called it the quote unquote war on drugs since the 80s. So is it a war on drugs or is it not? Right? So okay. I have no problem with nuking drug boats leaving Venezuela headed to the United States to bring drugs. On the Pete Hicks stuff, I was in Alaska in Stryker Brigade, and the U.S. Army Alaska Sergeant Major came down to do a visit, and they laid on this whole big thing. Right, it was the K9 and equestrian extravaganza. He came down there, and all these, the brigade sergeants major and the Cav squadron sergeants major, and the first sergeants are all lined up to talk to him. That dude flat out was like, "Hey, Bravo troop, third platoon, who's your senior scout?" And staff sergeant, I forget his name. I think it was Johnny. It might have been Johnny Whitlock at the time. He was like, I'm senior scout sergeant major. He was like, I need you to walk me through this and show me this. Because he in the USAC sergeant major, he wasn't he was not a combat arms guy, if I recall. And everybody got to talking, and he finally gave us his thought process. He goes, you know why I don't want to talk to the sergeant majors or the first sergeant, anybody like that? He goes, because you're going to tell me what I probably you think I want to hear, and number two, you haven't been on the ground directly doing the job for quite a while now. Not because of it's not your fault. You just been promoted up to the point to where you have lost touch with the person on the ground that actually does the job day in and day out. So when Pete Hegseth comes in, you got this former infantry major, right? But does he have a drinking problem? I don't know. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if you think Pete Hegseth has a drinking problem, that's 98% of your military, regardless of the service, right there. But I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that right now, people. And this, this major comes in and starts poking all these generals in the chest. Like you said, he's not part of the good old boy club, so they automatically don't like him, right? They're like, this guy wasn't even a full-bird colonel, let alone a flag officer, and he's going to tell me what to do. The other thing, though, that whole thing, that wasn't for those generals. That was for the rest of the formation. That was the rest of the formation to see, hey, guess what, buddy? I am in charge. The Secretary of Defense is your boss. Everybody talks about, no kings and the Constitution. Well, then you should support Pete Hegseth because the Constitution says that the military will be under civilian control. That's why you have a Secretary of Defense that all the folks answer to, and then you have the Commander-in-Chief, right? So, but that, make no mistake, that was not for those generals. That was kind of, in a way it was, but that was a very small part. That was for the rest of the military to see. That's why they televised the speech. That's why they laid it out the way they did. And that's why Pete Hegseth came out and gave the speech he did. And I thought it was great. His speech was on point. It was very, very clear. There was no ambiguity in it, no nothing. And then Trump came out and screwed it all up with his rambling. But yeah, no, man, I could Pete be a little more refined? He could, but at the end of the day, that's not what the Pentagon needs right now. That's not what the department needs. They need that, that former infantry major with a little bit of a drinking problem to come in there and flip the monopoly board over.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on Trump coming in afterwards. It's like he just can't help himself sometimes. And Darren, I don't think that Trump is perfect. I never said that, but I can take the good with the bad. I am glad you said that. Well, let me say this about Pete. It's like one of the things he has working against him, just from an optic standpoint, is how young he is. But he would not be that major. There's no such thing as like a super old major, right? Like a Patton age major. But if you had a Patton go in and give the exact same speech, right? The exact same speech, but he's Patton. He's a 4-star, general. Maybe it would have had more impact with those leaders, but it doesn't matter because you're right. You said it. It's like that wasn't for them. Yeah, it kind of was. It's like, hey, new sheriff in town. Yeah. Hey, just so you know, I'm not afraid to get up here. But yeah, you're right. It was for the formation, period. Yeah, that was, and that's what I like about this administration is there's always more than one thing going on at any given time, right?
Yes.
We talk about the GWAT style down there off the coast of Venezuela. That isn't just about taking out people transporting drugs. It is that. That's the first order effect. The second order effect is a message, not just to the cartels in Mexico who are the real problem. It's a message to China as well, who's supplying the precursors. It's like, we're taking this seriously now, folks. You're going to have to change the way you do things. Are they going to stop? No. But there's like, we're going to have to start thinking about this. Again,
you're in there,
new sheriff in town. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Observe, orient, decide, act. Yes, exactly. It's not just a message to the cartels, though, in Mexico and Colombia and all throughout South America. It's a message to Gloria Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico. It's like, this is serious. Now, the third order effect is this is a message to Venezuela. You know, this isn't just, we have the capability to do this. And we also fly B-52s around, you know, just off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago. Did you guys see the pattern the B-52s were flying?
I did not.
Look it up. Look up the pattern they were flying. No joke. I want y'all to fact check on me. I went into Darren's office one day. He's like, look at this. And you know those flight tracker things where they track the radar and it shows like the racetrack they're flying? Sorry, Bomb. They were flying a cock and balls pattern. No joke. Look it up. Look it up.
Oh, I love it.
With the F-35 escorts, it's like, and why are F-35s up there? Because F-35s aren't the ideal escort for a B-52. That would be an F-22 or an F-15. But they had F-35s. It's like, yeah, we're ready to go. You know, it's a message on multiple levels. It's not necessarily 4D chess, but it ain't just about taking out these drug boats. So Rand Paul, grow up. Grow up. You know, I have to look up what Rand Paul said when, you know, Al-Awlaki was taken out and his 16-year-old son by accident by the CIA. I mean, I would hope that he threw as big or definitely bigger fit for that. Anwar al-Awlaki, just so y'all know, was a U.S. citizen who was extrajudicially killed without proper due process. I think I've covered that multiple times. Yeah, but I love the speech. Loved it. He talked about standards, guys. He talked about standards. We're going to get back to standards. I think he said it in the speech. If a female can pass the standard, well, then she could be a Ranger. She can be a Navy SEAL. She can be a PJ if she can pass the standard, which a uniform standard, which I agree with. I actually agree with that. Just don't adjust the standards. That's all there is to it, man.
I am real quick, I am so done with libertarians. I am completely done with libertarians.
Oh God, yes.
They, you know what? Like one of y'all were saying earlier, I think it was Roger. You know what? I respect the far left more than I respect the libertarians. I do, because at least the far left, they take a stand. They take a stand. They're not wishy-washy. The libertarians are wishy-washy. Rand Paul goes back and forth, and as much as I, used to like him, Massey's another one. And you're just like, you know what? Just stop. Just stop. Pick a damn side. It's frustrating.
And they both, but the far left and libertarians they do have something in common. They both live in fantasy land.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
I can't even listen. Now, I've forgotten his name. The guy who comes on Joe Rogan. He's big time libertarian voice. I'll think of his name in a second. I can't stand to listen to him anymore because the stuff he puts forward, it's like, that would be great if we lived in fantasy land. You know, you know what? It's probably Roger said that. I didn't, but I'm gonna echo that. I respect the far left more than libertarians because their fantasy land, at least it's been tried. At least we have a record of that. It's like the fantasy land for these libertarian tards. It's dumb. It's almost like they want to be purposely contentious, like Roger is. Every time I try to make a post, hey guys, I was thinking this today. It's kind of a great point. And Roger's got to be purposely contentious about whatever it is.
No, I don't. No, because they know they can be the outlier. It's just the one vote, and they can just sit out there and stand on their high and mighty pedestal. And the reality is, some of their stuff I agree with fiscally and domestically. But I mean, you can't just be like, well, we have zero foreign policy. Well, no, that's not the world that we live in, guy.
Yeah. Or when they come back and be like, no, we believe in open borders. And you're like, okay, all right. What is Aleppo? Gary Johnson. Okay, guy. No foreign policy. Zero foreign policy. Okay. All right. It's fantasy land.
Well,
I'm done with
Dave Smith. Dave Smith. That's his name. And you know what? You hit it.
Yeah.
Was it Roger who said it? It's like you can be that one vote. You can be that outlier. What it is it's being an edgelord is all it is. Because Dave Smith is so predictable. It's like whatever is the popular thing, let's go against that. You know what? In the Russia-Ukraine thing, let's make Russia's case. In the Israel-Palestine thing, let's make Palestine's case. It's like it's always like you're going. It's being.
So let me ask you this. Let me
is.
ask you this. And I'll ask Josh first. So when you look at the whole government shutdown, and we can talk about that a little bit, but I think they're like 5 votes short or whatever. So if it comes down to the GOP needing one more Senate vote and it's Rand Paul, do you think he flips?
No.
That'd be a tough one for him. Because normally they're on the side, they've got 3 or 4 Democrats or 3 or 4 other GOP members that, haven't flipped. So it's like, okay, I can be the lone, or I can go along with the 3 or 4 because it's not going to just be me that gets blamed. But if they get enough Democrat votes, and I don't think it'll happen because they'll get more than enough. But if he is the deciding vote, does he pull a John McCain?
That's a good question. I don't know. I could see him doing it and saying, well, it was a clean CR after all. Because what do you want, dude? What do you want? What do you want for your yes vote? Like, you want more spending? Because that's what the Democrats want. It doesn't make any sense. This is like, Josh, you got me worked up with the libertarian thing. It's like, Rand Paul, what do you want? Because, are you voting just to be obstructionist? Like, really? And I know with the shutdown and everything, Josh already said no, he won't. But I say, I don't know. I lean toward no. But with the government shutdown, I think I initially said that it'll last a week. Now I'm saying it'll last longer than the first one, the first Trump shutdown, by maybe a day or two, because these people are so petty that they want it on the historical record that Trump had the 2 longest shutdowns in U.S. history. But I know that certain people's pocketbooks are getting hurt because it's the shutdown. But again, I don't work with the federal government on any meaningful level anymore. And it hasn't affected me at all. I mean, even the VA loan on my new house is still going to go through because that's automated. So, like, what am I seeing? I mean, maybe the stock market, maybe my portfolio is taking more of a hit than it would. But it's like, what is it really affecting? Because we've said it before on this show. I think that we'll keep it shut down. I think we've said that before.
Well, because it's no longer the way it used to be. Like when you look at the shutdown in '95, where there actually was a shutdown, there's no more. Nothing is really shut down. I mean, social services are still out there. The military is still getting paid, SNAP benefits, EBT, VA, this and that. It's like now those don't go on forever. They do eventually stop, but until some of those things start stopping, right, where there is no more payment, that's where you start seeing pressure from the constituents on both the GOP and the Democrats. Like, hey man, I don't give a F what your problem is. Like, I need my check, right?
100%.
And that hasn't happened yet.
So I learned something, and my parents learned it the hard way about the government shutdown. And we can talk about, maybe we've got about 15 minutes left, but we can talk about travel a little bit because Roger had some good experiences, and so did I recently. But maybe that was because of TSA and the air traffic controls. Who knows? But so my parents decided to take a long road trip from Amarillo, Texas, all the way to Madison, Wisconsin. So, man, that's a long drive, right? So it's like, one of the things my parents like to do is they like to hit the presidential libraries. And so they plan their trip around visiting the presidential libraries along the way. And what they learned, and I learned too, is that presidential libraries are shut down during a federal shutdown. And I'm like, wait, whoa.
I thought they were privately funded.
I did too. But apparently there's some federal funding with that. And it's like, oh, wow. That seems like a waste of taxpayer money to me. Even though, I like the LBJ Presidential Library is actually pretty impressive on the campus of University of Texas. I've heard the Reagan Library is pretty nice.
You think maybe the staff is federally funded?
Maybe. But it's like they're like federal parks, man. They shut down. National parks shut down. So do the presidential libraries. Crazy, right? I didn't know that.
No.
But it affected them, screwed up their trip big time.
But Roger has a point, right? Because this one hasn't been very visible, and if you go back to, you know, Obama's shutdown when they closed, the open air memorials in DC, right? They closed the National Mall. There was barricades up. Everything was like, make it visible, make it hurt, um, and you haven't seen it. Like Roger said, there's still a lot of those services, EBT and stuff like that. Guess what? That ends next week. That's done. The funding for that's out. And so, yeah, it's going to get very real, very quick for a lot of folks. And it's all fun and games until you have constituents, like I said, inundating your office with phone calls every day. You're like, hey, man, I don't really care what you're arguing about up there with your, $170,000 a year, paycheck and your multi-million, dollar index funds and stock options and stuff. Because that report came. Side note, that report came out today too. A lot of folks in Congress still making a lot of money off of stocks. It's wild. They're even, dude. They are better at stocks than people who do it for a living, like Warren Buffett. It's wild.
Warren Buffett.
Anyway, yeah. And so, yeah, I think this thing gets resolved once that happens, or at least it'll get resolved in short order. Once that happens. But I think Luke is also right, because we don't have, this is already the second longest shutdown, because the first one was 35 days during the first Trump administration, and the next closest one, the 95 one that Roger brought, it was 21 days. So this is already the second longest shutdown in history. So.
Yep. And we shouldn't even have it. I mean, it's like they're saying, like Luke brought up, it's a clean CR. And it all goes back, and this is what pisses me off, right? Because they act like the internet's not around or that we don't have memories. You remember back when, the Affordable Care Act was first brought out, and remember sometimes we just have to pass it to find out what's in it.
Yeah.
And they did it behind closed doors, right?
Yep.
And so the first word of that, the A, stands for affordable. So then during the Inflation Reduction Act, quote unquote, the Inflation Reduction Act that didn't reduce inflation, they built in subsidies for the Affordable Care Act. Well, if the Affordable Care Act was affordable, why would you need subsidies for it? And oh, by the way, the subsidies don't run out until December anyway. And I think it's the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the end of the calendar year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like the GOP, and don't get me wrong. I mean, Josh has said it. I mean, GOP will F as much of this stuff up as anybody, but it's a clean CR so that you can continue having that debate and vote on that thing later. You got time for that. Like, the problem is the Schumer has backed himself in such a corner, because the last time he gave in, he capitulated, right? And AOC and all of them jumped all over him. And like we talked about a little bit earlier, he's worried about being primaried. Now it's personal interest over country. It's personal interest over party. So now he can't look, he's backed himself into such a corner. There's no way out of it. I'll actually be shocked. I thought by this week it would be open. I think I'm looking, I'll be shocked if we get to Friday and there aren't some, signs or conversations that, okay, we're talking. And then by next week,
we're close.
Yeah, that type of thing. I'd be shocked if it goes beyond that, but you never know, man.
I don't think I publicly shared my Affordable Care Act story. We might have talked about it with you guys, maybe texted and stuff, but it's hard to get all that out. So I found myself shopping for health insurance not long ago. I was on Cobra paying ridiculous. I mean, it was brutal. And the reason it was so brutal is because the insurance plan I was on was so good. It was that United Health Group employee insurance. When I left there, I got on that Cobra and I was like, geez, man, this is expensive. So surely it's not this expensive on the open market. So all of these insurance companies, you go shopping for insurance, especially during open season, which is now, by the way, they're all tied to the same system, which is Affordable Care Act. So they all have the same prices, right? And all the prices that come up are subsidized prices. So it's like, wow, that is pretty affordable. But, I don't qualify for that because I make too much money. So it's like, okay, take the subsidies off. And I was unbelievably shocked at how much health insurance is for someone like me. Now both of you guys are on TRICARE and stuff like that. So, I mean, you're not really exposed to it, right? But man, in the market, like the open market, and I ran the numbers from back when in 2016, 17, when I was looking at open market back then, it's gone up 120% for someone in my income bracket. 120%. And that is because of the affordable. So why has it gone up so much, Luke? You know, if you're not, people aren't tracking. Why does it go up so much for someone like you? You know, and the subsidies, if you make less than, and it's ridiculous, it's like less than 60,000 a year, then it is actually affordable. It's actually pretty cheap. But the reason it's so affordable for them is because I'm subsidizing it. That's why. Because the companies can't afford it. They have to charge me that to break even. And it's like, dude, I'll never forget when that Affordable Healthcare Act was passed. I was driving back from Rio Dos, New Mexico. Never forget it. With my soon-to-be, future wife, my current wife now, and my daughter. And I'm listening to it on the radio. And it passed, and I was like, this is going to be bad. This is going to drive healthcare up through the roof. And here I am less than 10 years later. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Or more than 10 years, I guess. But
hey, John McCain just keeps on giving it to you.
Had to go on my healthcare rant. Sorry.
John McCain, dude, F him.
He just keeps screwing us from the grave, like Roger said. So let me tell you about my quick travel story, Josh, if you don't mind. When's the last time you flew anywhere, Josh?
Like a week ago.
A week ago. Where'd you fly?
Week and a half ago. Went to Mexico and back.
Oh, on vacation. That's right. So a couple weeks ago, we get, it's a nephew's wedding, right? And my poor sister, she really wanted me to be there, but man, we're in the midst of a move and we kind of didn't want to go anyway, because is my nephew really going to know if I'm there or not? No, it's not going to be a lasting memory. You know, I love my nephew and everything, but we talk maybe once every 2 years, you know? So my wife and I get on a plane late out of Lubbock, Texas. We were flying out like at 5 p.m. You know, I was like, well, let's make this as pleasurable as possible. So I sprung for first class. We get to Dallas, and wouldn't you know it, there's a 13-hour delay on the flight. So we can't even fly out till the next morning. If we even we would have had to get up at like 4:30, get a hotel with American Airlines crappy ass hotel vouchers. They put you up at the crappiest hotel in the DFW area. And we're sitting on the plane as they're delaying. And I look over at my wife and I'm like, if this is delayed till tomorrow, we're driving home. We're going to rent a car and we're going to drive home. And that's what we did. Because, man, dude, I just
smart man.
Unbelievable. It's like, come on. So yeah, we went and rented a car. We got like the last car from Enterprise, because American Airlines didn't just cancel our flight. They canceled almost every flight to a regional airport out of DFW that night. So you can imagine what that line to get your $80 hotel voucher and your $14 food voucher probably look like. I'm like, no, I've worked too hard to stand in that in my life. I've worked too hard to stand in that life. So we went and rented a car and we got a decent hotel with Marriott points that night. And we drove back. But I mean, you know, if you're flying, and we made a new rule, and kick it back to you guys. We made a new rule. It's like, for family weddings, right? For family weddings, nieces, nephews, whatever, because Michelle's got to pass them, right? If we have to make a connecting flight, we're not going. That's our new rule, hard and fast. If it requires a connecting flight, we're not going. That's it. Unless it's somewhere cool like Antarctica. Then screw it.
I like that.
So, Roger, you had an interesting...
I've had a couple, man.
You could have driven from Phoenix to Dallas quicker than that flight. Dude, it's only like a 16-hour drive.
I'm fortunate that I'm not a young private anymore, because I'm like you. You know, we had 2 back-to-back flights, and weather-related delays or whatever. One was coming in from Dallas to Phoenix, and I don't know if people saw the news like 2 weeks ago where the airport was flooded or whatever. Well, we were on that flight coming in, brother. We landed. We get down to baggage claim, and there had to be like 400 people in line. And I just stood there. And now, we didn't know what was going on. So we just kind of looked, and my son was sending me videos of the flooded airport. And thank God I'm not an E1 or E5 anymore, because I looked at my wife. I'm like, babe, I'm not against going home right now and coming back in 2 days to get my bags. I mean, fortunately, we're in Phoenix, right? So I was like, hey, dude, I'll just go home and I'll just come get my stuff in a couple of days. Like, I'm not standing in that line. That's not going to happen. Fortunately, I had flown or I checked a weapon. And a guy that was with me, I ran into, he was like, oh, yeah, it'll come to the BSO. They tag it. They take it off the plane first because they can't have the weapon floating around the airport. So I was like, oh, so I go up to the BSO. Thank God, dude. They had my bag. They're like right here. They had actually called my name and I wasn't even in there. I was out at the turnstile waiting like a dumbass for my bags. They had my bag, grabbed it. Long story short, they had about a 4-mile line to get into the airport to pick people up. Got home, got lucky. This last one, I'm flying from Phoenix to Dallas, 90-minute flight. I'm thinking, it's pretty cool. And it was a free trip, so we didn't pay for it. I was like, hey, cool. We'll get up early in the morning. We'll fly to Dallas. We'll have all day to hang out at the hotel and do resort stuff or whatever. And we'll fly back home. 10 hours later, I find myself in Salt Lake City, because it's like, hey, Salt Lake City is the opposite direction. You get to Salt Lake City. By the time we got to Dallas, it had been, like 13 hours. They actually had to hold dinner over for everybody because we got in so late. And I'm just like, what I'm mad at is this, because it started early in the morning. We woke up in the morning. I take my shower. Original flight was canceled because we had a direct flight. They rebooked us on another flight. We're connecting through Salt Lake City. Should have gone with Luke's rules. I was mad at myself because I didn't, you're in autopilot mode. We're going versus driving to the airport right then. I was like, man, we should have just cut sling right there, because with the canceled flight, going to Salt Lake City, the layover, weren't sure our bags were going to make it. They rebooked us on the flight from Salt Lake City to Dallas. I wasn't sitting with my wife. That got too late. Dude, we should have just cut sling. So my new rule now is, in Jeremy's words, take a little tactical pause, a little tactical patience, reassess the situation, because it's not the same as what it was before when we booked the ticket. And if it just doesn't make sense, then we just cut sling. Like, I'm not going to fly west to go back east to connect to a flight that hopefully my bag, I'm like, we land when the other plane boards. There's no way we're going to make that thing, and then plus, you get on the runway. I think I was texting you guys, and Josh is famous for this. Like, so we're leaving Salt Lake City and they're like, hey, there's a ground stop in Dallas. And I'm like, again, they think we're idiots. Like, we can't pull this stuff up on the FAA site. So I'm like, ground stop ended 20 minutes ago. Oh no, we're going to go ahead and shut the door, guys. And we're going to get out of here in about 2 hours. I'm like, what the frick, man? So then we take off, we do all that. We land in Dallas. And then this is where Josh comes in. It's like, they didn't know this, 50-ton aircraft was coming in. So we're just going to sit on the runway for another 2 hours, until a gate opens up. So anyway, point being, I've learned at this, the twilight of my years that, things like that happen. I need to reassess my situation. And 9 times out of 10, I will probably cut sling, because there were signs it's like the Louisville game. We were joking about it. There were signs dude, the universe was telling us during the Louisville game, right? The universe was telling us, put money on Louisville. And we were too blind to see it. So my flying thing is like the universe was telling me, hey, you don't need to go on this trip. And so I just need to reassess.
That Louisville game, you had to bring that up. Oh, that's a whole other story. We get that's a classic.
Was that not everything? That was every force in being in the universe telling us to bet on it. And no, we just didn't.
I thought you did bet on it for me. I thought I had made. Like
I was joking with you because I was joking with you with a comma, And then when they won, he's like, "Oh yeah, man!"
Oh damn it!
that was pretty good.
Account. So we have a new listener. He'll listen to this one. I'm actually not going to share the link with him until this one is actually published. So Josh and I and Roger are fairly familiar with the BOER, BOER. He's the same guy who recognized my Rhodesian Light Infantry poster I have, like paint, whatever it is in my office.
Nice.
He's like, I didn't know what that is. So I'm not going to say his name because it's too unique. It's too unique, because we try, there's a lot of Jeremys out there. There's a lot of Darrens. There's a lot of Joes. There's a lot of, Ryans, Joshes, so on and so forth. So yeah, thanks for listening, buddy. I hope you like it. I'm not 100% sure of his politics, but I'm pretty certain he's going to be in line with us. But buddy, bedankt voor het luisteren. Maar kunt de zachte G niet uitspreken. Yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. So, hey, thanks for listening, everybody. Sorry it's been a little while. We'll try to get better at this. We always say that. We'll endeavor to persevere, as they say in The Outlaw Josie Wells. Until then, keep canteen cups full and tightly secured.
Deuces.